Consultation Podcast Network.
Wake up,
Nancy.
wake up.
Did you know that after the heart stops beating, the brain keeps functioning for well over 7 minutes? We got 6 more minutes to play.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum podcast. I'm Ryan from cultsploitation.com, and I'm joined by my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
We're back today with a episode of Remakeoween. We're continuing that all the way until the end of October for Halloween, because we've got 2 more episodes to go in our Remakeoween series. This one and next week's episode, and then also we got a special episode that's going to be dropping on Halloween Day. So fun stuff. We're really hunkering down and getting to work for the last few weeks before Halloween, so having a lot of fun over here at Blood and Black Rum Podcast.
Getting ready for all them Thanksgiving
Oh yeah,
films.
Thanksgiving films, Christmas films.
No, not even close. No, we're skipping a holiday. Skipping Veterans Day.
What Veterans Day film do you want to do?
There's a lot of war movies you could do.
Saving Private Ryan.
No.
Today for our Remakeoween special, we're moving on from one Michael Bay film last week with Friday the 13th, and we're moving into another Michael Bay remake film of a classic slasher franchise. We're doing A Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010.
I thought you were going to say The Dentist.
The Dentist?
Yeah.
Why would we do The Dentist?
Why not?
That's not a remake, nor is it from the 2000s.
Well, why haven't they?
Nor is it a Michael Bay film. It's none of those things, so I don't know where that came from. But it is a fun movie. Corbin Berenson in there.
I've never seen it.
It's fun.
I just remember the box art at the video store.
It's a fun movie.
Like, oh.
You should check it out. No, we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010, which did not get good reviews when it came out back in 2010, and I was one of those people that went out and saw it right away at the movie theaters, not because I was excited for it, but because I had brand appreciation for Nightmare on Elm Street, the series. So
You wanted to give Wes Craven a paycheck.
Yeah, I don't even know how much this gave Wes Craven a paycheck so much as it was just based on characters from his original idea. But
I'm sure he got a good royalty check.
I bet, yeah. But whatever the case may be, I wanted to check it out just because I was at least a little bit interested to see what they could do with the franchise. And actually, this was before I had seen some of the other remakes, like Friday the 13th, which I didn't see until much later on. I believe I had seen My Bloody Valentine before that. Was not impressed.
Yeah, you saw that in theaters.
Yeah, I also saw that in theaters, and I wanted to go out and check it out, and I didn't have very high expectations for this film, but I had to leave myself open to the possibility that they could do a good job with Freddy, though. That was one of the times where I'd actually seen some of the things behind the scenes for Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'd seen the trailer, and I'd seen the Freddy design, and I was not pleased with how that was looking even before the film came out. So I would say I was not very excited for it, but I was hesitant to completely write it off. And I don't think this is your first time seeing it completely, right? You never saw it back then.
Correct.
So you are new to the game here, and
Well, like with the last film, I was smart.
you avoided them at all costs.
I'm not giving Michael Bay my money.
Well,
so I'm not going to go see a remake that he's producing.
And you still haven't given him your money. You mooched off of it and got to see it at my house, and we didn't have to give him a dime. So there's that.
you
I
did.
guess. Yeah. There's that.
You did.
I
didn't.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters, so.
I'll give him money for The Rock, and that's it. We can part ways after that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think with Nightmare on Elm Street, this remake, there were two camps in that. Some people are just Freddy fanatics, so they'll accept whatever movie comes out that Freddy's in, and I can kind of see that. I mean, I guess I could see that if it's Robert Englund.
I feel like that has to be a minority. If you're a Freddy fanatic, then you love Freddy for what he. It's like with Jason.
Mm-hmm.
You love, like, by that point, if you're somebody who loves the character like that much, then you also, with all its flaws, love the lore of those stories and like of that, you know, that universe.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you love it, I guarantee most people are going into this. If you really love it, you're going to go in very skeptical and not thinking the best of things.
Yeah, and I think part of that was just the release of Jackie Earl Haley's look as Freddy as well, because it didn't scream Freddy so much as it screamed burn victim who has a gravelly voice because his vocal cords were singed or something like that.
Because he's trying to be Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Instead of everyone's favorite cancer patient with a noble vendetta.
This is a burn victim.
A burn pedo.
Burn victim with an ignoble vendetta, I guess.
Look at you with your words.
Yeah, see the thing is that part of the huge issues that I had with a Nightmare on Elm Street remake back then was Freddy himself. But even after seeing the film the first time, and especially again now, I have more qualms with the film than just simply Freddy looks weird in this one.
Even like when the film was announced, and like I didn't really care. Like I didn't think Freddy looked good. But at the same, like I said, like it's like whether he looked awesome or not, it wasn't going to be a good film. It may look nice and well shot, and like, you know, there's production behind it.
Yeah,
but like with the last film, it's a trap. It's like, hey, it looks like a modern horror film. It is a modern horror film in all the wrong ways. With, you know.
And in a lot of ways, it's very similar to Friday the 13th, 2009, in the way that it does pretty much everything from the production values, which I will agree are very good on. Michael Bay may do things not as well as one might hope, but you can't say that he doesn't put a lot of money into the production values behind the film.
Which, to be fair, is something like with a film like this I don't want. I don't want it to be
like great looking and
like it's
very almost it's like sterilized almost.
Yes, like exactly like it's totally neutered and sterilized. Like
yeah.
Like I don't know if you feel this way, but like some like the more like modern anime. Like just like how like things are like animated now and how pristine and colors.
Yeah.
Like when I'm watching like a Gundam, like I don't like, especially one that's like set in like the original timeline. I don't want it to be like, wow, look how beautiful this is.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
No, I agree. I mean, some of the
I'd actually like it to look a little bit crappier.
Well, some of the best parts of the original Nightmare on Elm Street is the fact that it does look so dingy and dirty and kind of, you know, and I will say too that it doesn't look specifically like a set, like it was built as a set, but it doesn't, you know, it's intentionally made to be sort of gritty looking, especially like the boiler room scenes and any scenes where you're in Freddy's lair are intentionally grungy. And I think we'll talk about it a little bit later in the episode, but in this film, a lot of that's kind of sanitized and toned down, where that it looks
CGI'd,
where it looks like a backdrop, or you know,
here's a green screen, pretend to act.
Yeah, it's not even like it's like you've entered into like Universal's sets and it's like they built it or anything like that. It's more like somebody designed it in the computer and was like, this will look good. This will, you know, it'll look good behind them, but it won't really seem like they're actually in that atmosphere.
Perfect example would be like Star Wars, the original Star Wars compared to like the prequels, where everything on like the prequels is done on like a blue screen. And it's like, oh yeah, sure, like what a vibrant city Coruscant is in the planet with like all the lights and buildings and traffic, but it's like, it's very, feels very neutered, very very sterile because it's all computer generated. Doesn't immerse you into the world that you're watching.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest issues that we'll talk about later. Is that there is that sterilization of the film, and it doesn't really feel like you're in a real horror landscape, but something manufactured by good production values and expensive computer equipment.
An assembly line film, this is.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, so let's take a break from that. We won't talk too much about the film just yet. I want to go into our beer talk because, like last week, we featured 2 different beers on there. We got 2 different beers today. Both of us are drinking 2 different Harpoons, so I just wanted to kind of quickly go into those. I think we've had one of them on the show previously, but I know we haven't had this one that Martin's drinking, so I kind of wanted to go into that.
Past tense, drunk.
Yeah, drunk it. It's gone. I wanted to go into that a little bit, talk about the beers that we've got. So why don't you start with, because I want to start while it's fresh. You still got it on your taste buds. You can give us the rundown of what that tastes like. So take it away.
So I have their House Golden, which is a golden ale.
Harpoon House Golden.
They describe it on their bottle as a nice, crisp, light-bodied ale. And it's only at 4.5 alcohol. So it's meant to be like a lighter fall beer.
Yeah, sessionable.
And which it is, because it's gone already. It didn't take me too long to get through.
I think what they're trying to do with that is, and we've kind of seen that more and more lately, is companies are coming out with like their classic, the classic starting beer. What might be an original recipe for the company. I mean, Harpoon, as we're talking, is not really that old. So classic in the sense that
for craft beer they are.
Yeah, I'm thinking like if we're talking about like the Saranac House Lager that they recently released, which is a lot older. It seems like it's in that realm where a lot of these breweries are kind of releasing their classic lager style.
Which is a damn shame, too, that you can't get that house lager in a 12-pack.
Yeah, only a 6-pack.
And yeah, I can only find it at like one place.
So what do you think about this golden ale, though?
It's alright. It's very middling.
Oh, you think so?
It's not, like, I don't find it to be bad. It's got a nice light malt brightiness to it. It's got a nice little sweetness to it too. Other than that, it's like not really much to talk about because it's such a sessionable beer. It's not watery in any way. It does taste like a golden ale, like meaning
right.
Like a lighter bodied ale. Though it still has it does have a hoppiness to it, and it's got a nice mix of them. But just overall, I mean, I haven't really had that many golden ales because it's not really a popular style. Mm-hmm. I would say it's good, nice session beer around the fire type of thing, but I mean, I would never go out of my way to get it again.
Yeah. I actually liked it quite a bit, especially as something different in a fall pack. I thought it was a nice change of pace from some of their maltier beers, which we'll talk about. I have the Harpoon Flannel Friday, which is a lot maltier and also hoppier than some of the other beers in the pack. And I like that the Golden Ale is a little change up because you've got an IPA in there, you've got the Flannel Friday, you've got the Oktoberfest, and you've got a nice Golden Ale to kind of round things out. I like that it's kind of a throwback, and I thought it was pretty tasty, and I think that this is a good beer for any of those beer drinkers that really are trying to get into craft beers, but they're really not well versed in them. Like a good starting point.
Yeah, I would say that a golden ale would be a nice, jumping point. Like, hey, if you like a Pilsner and you're kind of scared to go to a pale ale or an IPA, why not try this? Or the other side would be an amber ale, would be hey, I know you like, your beer and you're afraid of hoppy beers, but how about you try an amber ale? It's, more of more of a maltier style, but, you know, and you get more of a flavor profile, but it's not going to be like, oh, wow, like, you know, it's not going to kill you with hops.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't tell someone who's, like, trying to get into craft beer and different beer styles, like, hey, try an Imperial Stout.
Yeah.
That's like way too far on.
Start
like, that's
out on the...
or like, hey, try this IPA, you know, it'd be like,
Yeah.
gotta get work, you know, wean
Jump
your way
off the
into it.
cliff right away.
Because it's like, you know, I think a lot of people kind of forget too. Is like nobody really drinks a beer for their first time and goes, "Wow, that's fantastic."
That's true. It's not really a taste that you just kind of...
It's like smoking a cigarette for the first time. You don't go, "Wow, I'm missing out on this."
Why does anybody do that? And then after a while, you're like, I guess I'll try it again, and then you start to enjoy it. I guess I don't know about cigarettes for you know, to say that, but
Well, I can tell you.
beer for sure.
I can tell you, nobody enjoys their first cigarette.
I didn't enjoy my first cigar.
Well, it's the same damn principle.
Yeah. I have Harpoon's Flannel Friday, as I said, and I think we've had this on the show before, but I just wanted to kind of touch upon it again, since I had it, and I might as well talk about it. It's an amber ale, and it is, to me, a nice, different type of fall beer that sits in between like an Oktoberfest and like something like a pale ale or an like a brown ale even, because it has the hoppy presence to it, and it's also got a nice maltiness to it. So I think it's pretty refreshing, and I think that if you're kind of sick of swapping back and forth between Oktoberfest or something like that, this is a good fall beer to have in addition to an Oktoberfest or a Marzen style. So I like it quite a bit. I think before, like last year, I had it and I thought it was okay, but I wasn't blown away by it. But this year I'm liking it quite a bit more. And I've had all three of them in the pack now, and I would say that it is probably one of my favorite like fall beers to drink besides Oktoberfest. I think it's very very good, and I like the maltiness that's paired with the hoppiness to make it somewhat different from, you know, what you get with an Oktoberfest. So very tasty.
Yeah, the amber ale's not really that popular of a style around here either.
It isn't.
The only one I know that does one year round is Adirondack, because their bare naked ale is an amber ale.
Yeah, because I think in some ways with the amber ales, there's a fine line again between like a brown ale, an amber ale, and a red ale. You know, in those ways, you know, obviously they're kind of combining those different tendencies. And brown ales tend more towards like nutty flavors, and red ales tend a little bit more towards like malty and a little bit hoppy. And I would say
less hoppier,
less hoppy than this amber ale for sure. But the styles are similar. I would compare this Flannel Friday that is kind of similar to that Boston Brick Red that I had at the Big E that I talked about on the show a couple weeks ago. And that it was malty but still like had a hop flavor to it that was at the front of the beer. So they're kind of similar in that sense. So check it out. I mean, I think we've covered pretty much everything on the Harpoon Fall Pack at this point, because we did the Oktoberfest last time, and the Golden Ale on this show, and we've already done their IPA before, which is also, you know, a standard part of their Fall Pack. So check out the Harpoon Fall Pack if you haven't seen it, and try to grab that, because it does have some good beers in it for fall. And I am going to go out on a limb here and say that the last of those packs are probably in stores, and I'm thinking winter is either out or very, very close to hitting the shelves. I haven't seen any winters, but I haven't really been looking either. So it's possible that they're out now, because I know that...
I pray to God they're not.
I mean, the fall ones are definitely the shortest season.
And I don't understand why. Why?
I think just because, especially with, you know, climate change, I should say, we are experiencing a lot longer summer weather, and then we kind of just jump right into winter weather. So,
yeah, but still, I think it has more to do with the Christmasification of taking over fucking every fucking month now.
And the unwillingness to give up, like, on the summer.
that too. I saw at Price Chopper, they still had spring beers. They had like a...
I saw that too.
They had Saranax spring
I think they're just trying to get rid of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but like if I was if I worked for the vendor, I'd be like, I'm taking this.
I know.
I'm taking this back. Obviously.
I'll take it home.
But no, it pisses me off because I told you the other day, I saw at Walmart, they have the champagne bottle stands up for Heineken Christmas because they sell it for Christmas time. Heineken in a champagne bottle. And it's like, enjoy the holidays responsibly. It's like, fuck you!
I'll have to go. I'm going to get that. Not now, after Halloween, but I will get it. In a champagne bottle.
I mean, I would too, just kind of like ooh, you know. Because I don't like champagne, so I would prefer to drink a Heineken.
Are you going to pop the top, like, very dramatically?
Yeah, we can do it.
Shoot it off?
We'll do it at your Christmas party. I'll be
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
That would be fun.
But no, I saw that and that pissed me off because it's just like no, no, we haven't even got to fucking Halloween. You're already like it's like it doesn't even exist. Why not after the 4th of July? Just have fucking be Christmas till then. You
know what though? The Heineken champagne bottle would probably be good for like bringing to Thanksgiving. I'd do that.
No, because
carry it around with me. People will be like, "Oh, you brought Heineken." No, this is my Heineken champagne bottle. I didn't bring any more for anybody else.
I mean, if I like if Heineken and a mini keg didn't taste like dog shit because of the aluminum running.
I like the Heineken and the mini keg. I don't know why. I just like the fact that I have a keg.
No, see, that's what I was gonna go after. If it didn't taste like dog shit, because Heineken and cans. And the keg tastes awful because it tastes like the aluminum's like running off into it. I would carry that keg around and be like, Merry Christmas, and be like, oh, you're gonna pour me? No, I'm pouring myself a cup. Yeah, this is for me. Like I'd have it like strapped on my back. Oh, that'd be a great idea. Have like a Heineken mini keg and a Newcastle one. Like have like,
like what am I feeling like now?
Just hooked up to your back and you'd be like, you know, I'm feeling a little Newcastle Brown right now.
That is interesting. I've never had the Newcastle in the keg.
I imagine that might taste better. I haven't had Newcastle.
You know what? Newcastle always turns me off because a lot of times their beer gets really skunky fast.
Because it comes in a clear bottle.
It comes in a clear bottle. Even like when I go to buy it in stores, it's already skunky. When I get it home, like when I go to crack one open,
that's why I haven't had one in like 8 years. When we like the last time, like the first time, a couple of times I had it, was really good. Then like a couple of times in a row, because it used to be like a beer like when I was feeling fancy, I'd get because like oh, Newcastle Brown, this is really good. And then after like a couple of bad times with it, because like oh, it tastes fucking skunked to shit. Yeah. It's like, yeah, no, this costs way too much to be gambling.
We'll have to try a Newcastle mini keg. Oh, and that's the other thing. I haven't seen the Newcastle Werewolf out this year. Have you?
Nope. Maybe they don't do it anymore.
I mean, I've always tried to grab it when it's out, just because the holiday spirit and everything. But I haven't seen it. Nothing. It's interesting, really. And I can't say that I've like actually seen a lot of Newcastle in general anymore.
I just see the brown.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe the Cabby Gold.
Yeah.
But
all right, let's move on to A Nightmare on Elm Street, because we do have some stuff to talk about. Perhaps not good stuff to talk about, but stuff all the same. All right, so as you remember from our previous episode when we covered the Friday the 13th remake, Martin was really not fond of that film. He thought it was I think he thought it was a little boring, but he also found it to just be overwrought and terribly acted and poor script and all that. I guess we'll start out with that. How do you think that a year later, after the 2009 Friday the 13th, how did they change things up for A Nightmare on Elm Street? Obviously, besides, different directors and stuff like that.
Well, Ryan, they did nothing!
They didn't change it up.
They didn't do a fucking thing! Not a goddamn thing different. They literally took the same template and they just moved it on over. Again, it's literally assembly line filmmaking at its finest.
I think that what we see that's very similar to Friday the 13th is that you have a script that definitely is attempting to play off of a lot of the different things in the series for the Nightmare on Elm Street. So it's kind of trying to be an homage rather than just a straight up remake. Obviously, this
Friday the 13th. Though I will say one thing this film does better than the remake of Friday the 13th. I think the homages are much better in this film than they are in the Friday the 13th remake.
Yeah, I think they get away with that because they are able to... They're kind of copying some of the ideas from the original Nightmare on Elm Street, whereas Friday the 13th was really kind of just taking teenagers in the woods and then throwing them into a new storyline. So there wasn't a lot there. I mean, they could copy some of the kills and stuff like that, but it wasn't easy to kind of emulate the same things that happened in the originals. And they did take some from
well, they could have. I just think
they could have.
I think they were just more like, it's almost 2010, man. We can't have kids going to who goes to summer camps.
Right.
Nah, these kids are going to look for a magical weed field.
Yeah, I agree. But I do think that Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 does do a better job of capturing some of those homages. You have like the blood geyser scene that occurs in the original that is a little bit different in this one. Perhaps, and I would say not as effective as the original, despite having many, many more years of special effects practice under our belts at this point. But
sometimes you just can't beat, as we've said a billion times on this podcast, you can't beat practical effects.
That's right.
A CGI blood storm is not gonna look good.
That's right. The other thing that I like that I couldn't remember it before I started, before we got into this movie a little bit more, is I like the
you
whole...
are hiccuping like a fucking...
No, I had a burp
like
there.
a Tex Avery, like, drunk cartoon. Are you gonna have to see, like, pink elephants around you soon?
No.
Jesus.
Sorry,
it's like, it is kind of like distracting the way it's like constantly...
Got a little hiccups there.
In between.
I do like the return of the body bag in the high school, which in the original happens a lot earlier than it does in this film. And I think...
What body bags are clear?
Well, I guess you could say it's more like a trash bag. I don't know.
A Ziploc bag.
Yeah,
she's in a human Ziploc bag.
It's like it's like the bags that you would put like your sleeping bags in or something like that. To make sure that they are out of the elements.
I mean, that'd be pretty in poor taste to have a body bag that's see-through. Like,
yeah, I can imagine. Sorry, these are the only ones we have.
Oh yeah, no, avert your eyes.
Particularly gruesome murder, but this is all we've got right now. Mom and Dad are not happy. But I think there's some obviously liberties there, but I think that for this film, if we're talking about some of the good things that Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 does, that part of it of like copying pretty much straight from Wes Craven's film, it works pretty well. I think they did a good job with that, and managed to capture like the suspense of that original. Though I don't think it's as good. I will say that the original had the suspenseful moment of just like the audience really not knowing what's happening at that point. And so, because it happened so early on in the film, so Nancy is kind of like in and out of a sleep deprivation mode and experiences this in the high school. Whereas in this film, we've already gone through a lot of moments where our characters are in and out of sleep, so it's not as effective because we've already seen them experience these types of things where they go into what they call like it's like a power nap, basically like a nano nap, where they are passing out for a couple seconds and they jolt into dream world and then they pop back out because they've woken up. And I just don't think it's as effective at this point because we've seen it so many times. When it occurs in the remake, it's almost more of the same. So it's not as scary as what we see in Craven's film. However, I do like that homage. Even like when you get, even though it's not as good. I guess I gotta preface like every single homage explanation by it's not as good. But there is that scene too where Kris is thrown about the room, smashed all over the place, bounced off the ceiling, bounced off the walls. That's straight out
human pinball. Ping,
that's right.
Ping, ping.
That's straight out of New Nightmare. But in New Nightmare, I think it looks better because it's not as like it's almost like in this film they put her in some gravity chamber that was like really weird and just she bounced all over the place. Whereas in the original, it was shot in New Nightmare. It was shot like very specifically to look authentically like she was being dragged all over the room and stuff like that. So I think it worked a lot better again in the original. And I guess that gets to the conundrum of a remake in 2010 because obviously you want to spice things up a little bit. You don't want to do the same things that the original films did. And so that kind of entails that you've got to get a little bit more creative. You've got to use more violence, obviously. And perhaps you've got to use CGI. I don't think that's necessarily, it's not forced on directors. But I think that there is a...
What, the use of CGI?
I mean, I think that...
I would imagine it is.
You think it's forced on directors that it's like expected... please use CGI rather than practical effects.
Yeah.
It probably is cheaper in the long run. Just pay some guy to spend 7 hours on makeup, or
I'm sure
pay a computer programmer for a couple hours of.
It has to be. If it wasn't cheaper and more practical and easier to get done, they wouldn't do it.
That's true. I guess I agree. I just think that
because I think at this point, like who is literally saying like, well. Yeah, that looks so much better than,
Yeah.
Nobody.
No, I agree.
Not nobody. I'm sure there's people out there like, no, it really does look better. And
I can honestly understand, as I was trying to get to, that sometimes it is needed. CGI is needed. Like,
well, because it lets you do things that you wouldn't be able, that would be possibly impossible.
Yeah.
If I was, like, a director or, someone behind, like making a film... My approach would be if you can't do it practically, then don't do it unless it's like this is something that has to be done. Like it's such a goddamn good idea.
Yeah. Then
fuck it, we'll do it CGI.
Yeah, I mean we're kind of getting into the problems of this film, but I don't mind because we can it definitely this ties up pretty much one of the biggest issues that I have with the Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 remake. Is that there's just so much liberal use of CGI in the film. Throughout the entire film, it's a very big part of it. Even though you have some of those practical effects like Jackie Earl Haley's makeup.
Which is not good.
Right. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just think that the liberal sprinkling of CGI throughout the entire film takes away a lot of the suspense that you would get if you had more practical effects. And that... It's because it's not necessary that makes it so egregious. Like, it's not like we're seeing anything in this film that makes audiences think like, wow, they would never have been able to achieve that without computer effects.
Because a lot of the things were done in previous films, as we've said before, like the blood geyser, like the dragging of, of the body across the room getting thrown about.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not only like in that thing. That's not only from a nightmare. That's from a bunch of horror films, like The Exorcist, and
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's like, really,
yeah,
really, come on.
One of the other things that really stands out is the early scene where Freddy is coming through the wall. His outline is kind of pushing through the wall. And in the original Nightmare, that was all done practically. It was done very specifically to create a very surreal effect. In this film, it's clearly CGI, and it looks really bad. It looks like probably one of the worst effects that occurs in this film, besides maybe like some of the fire scenes, because the fire scenes are pretty terribly CGI-ridden as well. But it just stands out that those scenes that were such a big part of some of the other films in the franchise have now been corrupted into some sort of weird CGI effect that fans of the franchise will obviously see as something that doesn't work as well as the original films. So in that point, you have to wonder, like, what was the purpose of the remake besides doing it worse than what we had seen previously?
To make money.
Yeah. No, that's a big motivator, I guess, but
that's your answer. What's a dead franchise? that people have a lot of nostalgia for that we could easily make a shit ton of money off of. I know. Right. Friday the 13th and and Nightmare, because Halloween came out just a couple years before that.
See, I think
even that piece of crap made a shit ton of money, so.
See, I think that even if we're talking, like, we'll talk about some of the other flaws in just a minute, but I think if we were to just overlook all those and you just got rid of the CGI, I feel like a lot of people would have been a lot more open to this film because it would have been sort of an homage to the originals.
I mean, I see, I disagree because I think the big mistake of this film is not having Robert Englund in it as Freddy.
Okay, so let's talk about that. It's a good intro into like how Freddy is in this film in general. So you think Robert Englund would have buoyed this film himself? Even with CGI,
even it being as crappy of a film as it is, I think he would have lent enough to this film to make it stand out and be like, okay, yeah. So because unlike Michael Myers, unlike Jason, and Ghostface, and a lot of other well-known slasher killers, they don't have actors behind them that you latch onto.
Yeah. I mean,
unless you're really like into like Friday the 13th, and like you'll be able to pick out your favorite Jason.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
but those actors aren't well known,
right? We're talking about like Ghostface from Scream,
which is
he's always different.
But that makes sense in the context. But I'm saying like Ghostface himself is and how he acts is a staple of the franchise. So even though you have different actors, they're doing the same things that you expect from Ghostface. Michael Myers and Jason, all you need is somebody to be lumbering around to make kills. They're not, the killers themselves are iconic, but they don't have to be portrayed in a certain way. Mm-hmm. Freddy does. Freddy is a vocal serial killer. Mm-hmm. He has a certain style, certain wit, a certain panache to him. And that's all from Robert Englund. Mm-hmm. Because he's the only person who's played him throughout all the first 7 films.
Yeah, which isn't even true of most of the other slasher franchises.
I don't. It's in like he was in Freddy vs. Jason,
right?
Which was only 8 years before this. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't he be good enough to do it now? I understand the fact that they're rebooting it, so they maybe want something different. But if you really want to hedge your bets to make sure that people are going to come and see this fucking movie, you bring them in.
So I'm curious about that because I would argue that the script for Freddy in this film is just not very good in general anyway.
Well, they intentionally, from what I read, they intentionally made him not a wisecracking guy because they wanted him to be different.
I don't agree with that though, because he is wisecracking in this film.
But he does it with like a very serious tone.
It's serious,
and it only, and to be honest, it only comes into like the end, like when he's like showing that, like has his face off with Nancy. He's having like a few wisecracks, but it's acted and portrayed in such a way that they're supposed to be wisecracks, but you're not gonna be like, ha ha, that's a funny, that's a witty line, because he's not delivering it with wit. I'm not blaming
Jackie Earl Haley.
Yeah, I'm not blaming him.
Yeah,
I think that's more just the direction and how they wanted they wanted Freddy in this to be portrayed.
I agree. I think that the script for Freddy isn't very good, and I know I see what you're saying, that it doesn't really get jokey until the conclusion, and that some of the others are like they're kind of sinisterly delivered, not meant to be funny. At the same time, I would have rather them just kind of cut all his lines out and not had him try to deliver some like faux sinister line, because I think that it comes off too cheesy.
Like this, you'll never wake up again, you fucking bitch, or something like that. It's like, wow, that's like a Michael Bay line. Like, why Freddy wouldn't,
Yeah, I just think that it comes off
Not
too
not
cheesy.
not only that would like Freddy not say that, but it's like no one would take that line seriously. Period, because it's
Yeah.
a fucking terrible line.
Right. And I'm not blaming Jackie Earl Haley. I think like he does what he does, and he was given this script, and it was like, here, read these lines. I mean, it is what it is for him anyway. But I think that they did a poor job of characterizing Freddy in this film as what you would expect to see from some of the later films in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. And that's coming from me as a person who doesn't really, I don't really enjoy the more comedic and acerbic Freddy that comes out later in the series, like in 4 or 5.
I was gonna say that too. Like it's not like Freddy was originally wisecracking.
No, exactly.
But the same token, where do horror sequels have to go? Only like eventually down the comedic self-parody route,
right?
Like Halloween, and like they all eventually do, and that's what happened to Freddy. But then that ends up to be a blessing though, because that's how New Nightmare, as we've said before on the podcast, why that's such a great film, because it's like, it turns like, Wes Craven's like, I see what you did with my, like, the little engine that could.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the comedic tone of some of the later films in the series, but I will say that I think that they did a good job of at least making it sort of tongue-in-cheek, because they knew what they were doing. They knew that at that point Freddy was kind of a comical iteration of himself. So it was almost meta commentary at that point too. Whereas,
but at the same time, 20 years ago, Wes Craven did it with New Nightmare.
Yeah,
and he did it 1,000. Well, I mean,
right? I'm saying in the originals, like in like the Nightmare on Elm Street 4, 5, things like that.
Well, everything's totally outlandish.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing with that.
No,
it wasn't like they set out to make a super serious film and they accidentally made it corny. It was on purpose.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying again. Like the later Halloween, like again, Jason Takes Manhattan. Obviously, they knew what they're fucking doing. They knew like, hey, this would be like a funny little,
Yeah, they knew what they were doing. They were kind of going with it and just hoping that fans and viewers would accept it for what it is. And I think, as we've seen, they did for the most part. With this film, it doesn't feel like that.
It's too straight.
Yeah, it's definitely played as in the sort of like,
and that's the same
this
problem.
Is overly serious.
And it's the same problem with like the Friday the 13th remake. It's totally in the Texas Chainsaw one. They're played way too straight.
Yeah.
Like you can do it. Like you can do like if this was like a new horror film, you could play it totally straight because you have nothing. This is original idea. Mm-hmm. So you're setting the groundwork and you can play it straight. Problem is though, if you're going to do it straight, and I have no problem with it being straight. In fact, I like again, like why is Halloween the best one? Because it's totally played straight and it works for what it does there. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing like an original idea, you can play it straight. And I think you could almost do that with this film, like a remake. But the problem is, if you're going to do it with a remake, you have to have great casting.
Yeah.
You have to have every actor. They don't have to be well known. They have to be people who play their parts and do it well. This film does not have that. You have to have a well written and well thought out and well developed script that has things mapped out, has characters, interact in a way that's not going to be idiotic and laughable. This film does not fucking have that. This is, like most of these remakes, is a terribly written script.
Yeah.
And to go with that, you also have to have a narrative that's, structurally sound, not plotting, and moves things along at not a brisk pace, but at a well-tempoed pace. This film is not that either.
Yeah, I don't want to...
So if you don't play it straight... I mean, if you play it straight and you don't do all those, like, you have to make something that's a goofy concept work well straight, you have to do everything basically masterfully. And if you don't, then it's gonna fail.
Yeah.
And
I agree. I mean, I want to get into that in a second, but I want to go back to Freddy for a second. We kind of talked about his outlandishness, the problems with his script. What did you think about the new design?
His makeup's terrible. It just looks like a generic burn victim, and like, I don't understand like why just fucking have like what he should look like. Sometimes sticking close, to what worked before, it's not bad.
Right.
You don't have to constantly innovate.
Yeah, I think that I was a little confused as well, because I just think in this film, the way that they decided to portray Freddy's like burn face is weird, because it kind of shifts the features of his face. Like it almost makes him look not even human at that point, but something like that. It makes his eyes very close together.
His nose narrow.
His nose very narrow.
Chin sharp.
And very clearly in some moments of the film, you can tell that when Jackie Earl Haley is speaking in his Freddy getup, whatever he's saying is really not matching up with the dialogue, because clearly in that makeup, he can't really enunciate the things that he really needs to say, so it was all done in post. You can kind of tell that that's occurring, and I found it distracting, to be honest with you, because I could tell that like what was coming out of his mouth is not how he's saying it.
I'm glad I didn't notice that, because that would have fucking totally bothered that ever-loving hell out of me.
And that happens in films. They do a lot of things in post, especially like voiceover work and stuff. But I just felt like it didn't work for this film, because it seemed like the makeup was such an impediment to what how he would say things, that you could just tell that it wasn't really matching up. I don't know. And maybe that was part of maybe it's my imagination. I don't know. But it really did not seem like they would match up. It seemed like it had to have been done in post in order to really let Jackie Earl Haley enunciate what he had to say.
But he doesn't really enunciate, because like we said before, it's literally like this direction to portray him was like, just talk like Jigsaw. Do Tobin Bell. Can you do a Tobin Bell? Mm-hmm. Because the way he talks throughout this film is literally like, they're like, people like Saw. Saw's really popular still. People still have thoughts about that, and Jigsaw and Tobin Bell's very popular. Talk like Tobin Bell, have a whisper to you whisper and kind of mumble, and like, I'm gonna kill you now. Hello there.
Yeah.
I have a game to play with you.
Yeah, it's true.
It's literally like what he's like.
It is like a Jigsaw.
So it's like
rendition.
I expect like halfway through like a nightmare that like Nancy's going to like, hello Nancy, I'd like to play a game with you. You haven't valued your life enough.
Yeah, even like some of the sets too kind of resemble like a Saw setup.
Yeah, like the fucking his boiler room,
looks like one of the factories.
Yeah,
that could have been
like
Saw.
Probably have Tobin Bell like, hey, keep it down.
Yeah, Tobin Bell's in the other room.
He's like, I got a game to play.
I'm trying to record my tape here.
I know. I have Donnie Wahlberg locked up. Could you keep it down?
No, I mean, all right. So it's definitely is a problem. Freddy's whole persona is a problem in this film.
Do you find Freddy in this to be more offensive than like Jason?
In terms of like how he looks and how they portrayed them.
Because I know too, you weren't a fan of Jason in the remake, and I said that was actually one of the highlights, because I like that they made him like to Bo Jackson Jason of running, sprinting, and throwing axes 50 yards.
Yeah, actually, I would say that the Freddy in this bothers me more than the Jason, because at least that while they took liberties with Jason in Friday the 13th, that he could run and that he was a little bit more of an active presence, he was still basically the Jason character. Still had, like a coat and his jeans and like very much like a woodsman type with the hockey mask. And that's really all you need. It's very easy for them to emulate Jason.
And that goes back to my point about how having Robert Englund in the role would be, because again, you don't need much for Jason. You only have to hit a certain beat. Tall, hulking outfit.
Yeah.
There you go.
And for Freddy, you do need a lot more. You need Robert Englund's facial structure. You need some of the ability.
And he was fine with not being cat. In fact, like he was very supportive of the remake.
He was until he saw it, and then he has been pretty vocal about it being terrible. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'll give him props for being like, hey, it's great, I don't know if that was just maybe him being like, probably.
I'm sure it was probably him
being nice, being like, yeah, no, they're gonna do a remake. Yeah, that's fine. That's great. No, I hope the best, and just be like Robert. Just be like John Carpenter. Just be salty about the entire way through. Just be like fucking miserable.
Always miserable.
We need that.
I can kind of see where the creators of this were coming from. They wanted this to stand on its own rather than be a part of the original series. They didn't, so they didn't want to reuse Robert Englund. They kind of want to come from their own angle.
But why not have a cameo? Why not have John? What's the harm of having John Saxon cameoing him?
Or Heather Langenkamp,
yeah,
who doesn't show up at all. Yeah, I mean,
that'd be great for us. We'd both be like John Saxon,
right. Yeah, I agree. There's no harm in pulling an Evil Dead and having.
That's like one of the highlights of the Ghostbusters remake that everyone shits on. The fact that Bill Murray's here and he doesn't care, but Dan Aykroyd's cameo is pretty funny, and so is
I really think that having Heather Langenkamp in here would then pull things even more together, because then you would have the throwback to the original Nightmare, but then you could have her as herself, from New Nightmare. So it would be again another reference to a metacritical area that I think would make things even more. But that's another point. I mean, that's just something that we thought that would be a good idea, but they didn't cover. But let's talk about what they did do that we didn't like very very much. One thing that really bothered me when I saw this film in theaters was the fact that it spends almost, and this is kind of similar to Friday the 13th, it spends almost 40 minutes on Kris as what we consider to be the main character. Because we follow her for the most part.
I think in this, though, it's more telegraphed that, she's not going to be.
Sure. It definitely is, because you have that initial encounter
in the
between
diner.
Chris and Nancy.
In the diner. Yeah, that makes it.
I do get that, but the thing that bothered me was that we spent so much time with Kris as a person, as a central figure, and then she gets killed.
It's those boobies.
Right. I mean, for sure. I definitely understand why they wanted Katie Cassidy in there. This was a big time for her as well, because she was in Harper's Island, which was a slasher TV show, so it makes sense. But it bothered me because we spent so much time with Kris. We get to know her. We get to know her character. She's killed off, which is fine, because you have that sort of thing. Scream did it very well with Drew Barrymore. It was a very obvious.
That's different.
It is different. That's what I'm saying.
I was going to say, because that's smart, because they hid that well. They build leading up into that Drew Barrymore as the star,
right?
And then she's killed off in the beginning.
It was a great idea,
and it's great because Drew Barrymore is a well-known actress. Katie Cassidy is not.
Yeah,
so that twist doesn't work as well.
I don't even think it's so much a twist, because it bothers me that they don't spend really any time with Nancy besides showing how kind of off-putting she is, and she's not very popular, and obviously she's part of the story, but she doesn't really get much screen time until about 40 minutes into the film, and by that point you're like, okay, so why do I care about Nancy that much? She's not really a main figure, whereas in the original film, Nancy is a huge part of the film for more than one reason. She's a perfect final girl character because she's very shy and skittish and anxiety-ridden and
Virgil.
Yeah, right, exactly. In this case, I just don't think that going 40 minutes with Kris and then swapping off with Nancy is a good thing for the storyline.
You could have just spent more time with Nancy from the get-go, and then kind of drop in on Kris, and
right, because you
they were doing throughout the entire thing with the rest of the friend group.
It's the same idea with the original film with Tina, because Tina is basically Kris. They correlate, but they just don't have the same names. But
the best friend character,
right? Exactly. And that's what they do in the original, is that they start out, I mean, Nancy and Tina, they're kind of together, but it's really Nancy who's the focal point, and that makes sense because we're following Nancy, but we also see Tina when she's in her dream states, And we see the kills because it's a horror film and we need to see from other perspectives in order to get all of those kills in. But it makes sense in that film. In this one, it really doesn't make sense to have Kris for 40 minutes and then switch over to Nancy. It's almost like a video game where it's like, well, that character died, so we're moving on. So you can be this one now. You know, it's...
Hit down the D-pad and you go from Michael to Trevor.
And they actually, in this one, they actually change things up a little bit where it's... Nancy isn't even really a huge focus. She is Freddy's, like, obsession.
Yeah.
But it's with her and with her boyfriend, really. That is the main
Quentin.
Right.
What a late 2000s guy name to be in, like, and we've ragged on, like, throughout, like, the podcast, like, names given to characters.
90s
like,
and 2000s
like,
names.
But yeah, like this one, like Quentin, the douche. Well, he's not he is a douche nozzle. All the guys in this are douche nozzles. I mean, Quentin's not the biggest douche nozzle, but he's still a douche nozzle. And then Jesse's the biggest douche nozzle. It's like, what? Like, why, Kris? Why are you fucking him? Why?
True.
You know, like, why are you with him?
Well, she wasn't. She was actually not fucking him because they were broken up. They were separated. So she kind of figured out, like, oh, he's really douchey.
I know, but even still, like, there weren't signs of, like, him, like, you know, being like, look, I know our friend died, but you're being a fucking bitch. Like,
yeah.
It's like
she's been through a lot right now, so if you can just, like, not and
fucking
fuck off.
yeah, no, just. Oh, and I think this film, more than, like, a lot of other films that have, like, kids in high school played by adults, this is, like, one of the biggest offenders.
Yeah.
None of these kids look like they're kids. They all look like they're almost 30.
Yeah, I mean, with, like, especially with Katie Cassie, I mean, I'm not saying that she doesn't look good. She looks good, but she just doesn't look like 17. It looks like more so like they're having, like, congratulations on graduating college, and going,
know.
you know,
where are you getting your master's at? Wow, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it definitely feels more like we're watching post-grad students, sort of like, even like when you're comparing it to things like I Know What You Did Last Summer.
And that's what, like, a big offender too, but not as much as this.
Right,
so, like,
exactly. Which I Know What You Did Last Summer, by the way, turned 20 yesterday.
God, where have our lives gone? But, like, no, like Kyle Gallner as Quentin, like, he, like, is trying to get his, like, Adderall filled, and he's like this pharmacy that's apparently open 24/7 because it's gotta be like 9-10 at night. Yep, they're still open. We're still filling your scripts, people. We'll wake your doctors to fill your scripts for nothing. They're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year so you could bother them in the middle of the night to have your pills. He's like, come on, man, I've been on these since I was like 15. It's like, aren't you supposed to be 17?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so like 2 years.
Yeah, so it's like,
oh, so you've been on for so long.
Oh, you mean like you're actually 40 and you're like, I've been on it for like fucking 2/3 of my life, man. Come on, film pills. It's just like,
we do get some popular character actors though. Clancy Brown's in this. Clancy Brown sporting a fantastic sweater as he
looks like
murders and arsons.
He looks like Ron Perlman in this. I honestly thought it was Ron Perlman at first until I heard his voice. I'm like, yeah, that's Clancy Brown.
Yeah, you can always tell with his voice.
It's very distinctive.
Yeah, he definitely has a deep and distinctive voice.
So is Ron Perlman. So
yeah, he does.
You'd be able to, you know, especially if you played Fallout, you can spot war. War never changes. Like, yeah. I'm glad he's in here, but has such a minute role.
I mean, he led the charge to murder
Freddy.
So.
But I mean, he doesn't have anything to do because he's in the film so little. So it's like, okay.
He does play that menacing role pretty well though, and just like being in every scene and looking very like angry and tense all the time.
No, I agree, but like at the same time, it's like, Yeah, it's good that he's here, but he has nothing to do. So you honestly could have had some, jackass be him, and it wouldn't be a problem. So it's kind of like, why are you here, Clancy?
I do like, though, that they made it look like he came right from like a school PTA conference to murder Freddy. Just like
they probably did. That's why they were all fucking like carpool together down.
They all were at a PTA conference. And you're like, you know what? We've heard some bad things from our kids about Freddy. And I'm like, all right, grab the pitchforks, the torches, the gasoline tanks, and we'll head on down.
I'll hop in my Lincoln Continental and we'll fucking go down to this factory and burn this motherfucker.
Yeah. That's one thing we didn't talk about too.
Freddy's backstory?
Yeah, Freddy's backstory and the way that they portray him. In this film...
Young Freddy, before he died, kind of looks like low-rent Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
just needs the gap in his teeth.
This film really takes a lot deeper look into what happened with Fred's backstory, and it draws more conclusions than the original Nightmare.
Well, again, you kind of have to. It's like with like Texas and mainly Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, well, if you're gonna remake it, they feel obligated to kind of go on more about like the backstory.
Yeah,
like,
but I think
like in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's not like you get this in-depth like psychological, and I'll air quote the in-depth, but what they perceive as in-depth, like look at like Leatherface's background. Like, it's like, oh, they're just a bunch of crazy fuckers. But in the remake, it's like, this is why they're crazy, And here, it's like the same thing, too.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, though, that I like the more nuanced approach to it in the original, because at that one, you leave the audience up to the conclusion of, well, was Fred wrongfully murdered? Like, is that why he's coming back and he was murdered for really no reason as an innocent man? And then there's a lot of blame placed on the parents that took that sort of vigilantism to its ultimate endpoint. Whereas in this film, it doesn't really leave it up to interpretation as to what actually happened. You really pretty much get an explanation for what it happened, and so I
think most people have. I think the reason they do that though is because people have accepted as fact Freddy Kreuger is a pedophile.
Yeah, and I think that came out like
I don't think people like would look at his character and like I think most people, if they're fans of the franchise, or I think if they watched the original, they wouldn't be like, oh no, maybe he was innocent. They'd be like, yeah, no, he was a creep.
I mean, it makes sense with all that his character does. I mean, obviously he wouldn't return and take this huge vendetta on for no reason, but if he was a good person, I would assume in the afterlife he would have just let it go.
That might be, like I said, that might be an assumption too far. I think it would have been a great idea if he was actually innocent.
I do too.
I think that would be because I really think like if they made it more clear cut, like totally not more clear cut, literally clear cut, and had him be like he was innocent, he wasn't a creep, and he was wrongfully murdered. It'd be great. That's a great reason for somebody to come back with a vengeance, and
Yeah, they really fucked up, and he's mad now.
I mean, does it make what he's doing right? No, not at all. But that's a great motivation.
True.
Yeah,
I would have been okay with them if they left it and they didn't really show when they went back to that, his cave, what they call it, the cave, and showed that like he actually was doing all this stuff with the kids. I would have rather than left it so we still don't really have a greatly defined answer, but we know that like a lot of the kids are saying, well, I don't remember it happening. So you have this sort of like questionable psychological aspect to it. Like they have they repressed it, or have they actually it never happened and they were making things up, or what you don't really have an answer for it. I would have been happier with that than having it come out and be a prescribed this is what happened.
I think I don't think the nuance would work for this film. So I think I do think, like, with that being said, kind of knowing going into this, it's not going to be nuanced at all, especially with the way they portray that backstory. I think it would have been much better for them to, okay, how can we, turn people on, on their ear and be like, oh, wow.
True. It would have been definitely different.
Make him be innocent. And that's, again, like I said, that's great. I think, like, if this was a better screenplay, and a better director and better cast, then you can go, like, with the more nuanced approach. Well, I don't think, though, this film has it. So I think if they just were, like, if they actually, like, had flashbacks of, like, Freddy, because that's the thing they do in this film too, is, like, Freddy is showing the kids, like, as he's going fucking running through them, killing them, he's showing them more and more of the memories of what happened. That's how they, Nancy and Quentin find out what happened to Freddy. If they made it leading up to his actually being innocent, then that would be a lot more impactful. And a lot more, like...
And they actually could have gone in a different direction for the ending, in that they wouldn't have had to, like, pull him into the real world, which has been done a lot in other Nightmares. They could have done something else as retribution for them wrongfully murdering him which would make the ending in this fucking film make more sense. Him not going after the kids anymore, but after the parents. Yeah, because that's always
that would make this crappy ending make much more sense. Like, I forgive you, Nancy, for you telling that I touched you and I never did. I'm gonna fucking kill your mom now because you burned me alive.
Right, yeah.
I'm going after Clancy.
I think in this film they make Freddy a lot more whinier than they really should, because, like, even in some of the scenes, like when he's murdering Jesse, he's kind of saying things like, will that bring people back? Will that bring anybody back from the dead if you're upset and you're stuff like that?
Well, maybe you shouldn't have touched children.
Right. I mean, I think that he's too whiny in this case, where they're trying to at least garner up a little bit of sympathy for him.
Yeah, but no one's going to see that doesn't work. He's a pedophile. Most people, when they see things on Facebook, like this person was arrested for, pedophilia, like, he should be shot dead. He should be dragged through the streets, flayed, hanged, drawn and quartered, and shot.
Yeah.
So, you're not going to see...
No sympathy there.
Yeah, no. When people hear, like, that guy got 8 years, most people aren't happy with that law, and that punishment.
Yeah.
So, I think if it was a different crime, then maybe you could be like, try to garner some sympathy, but that's not something people are going to, feel like, oh, I should feel sympathy for him.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, but I don't know if it doesn't work all the time in this film.
I literally can't see that work, just because, again, like with...
Yeah, everybody's very, very outspoken about that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, other than that, though, I mean, I think that one of the other big issues with this film is that I would say the last 2/3 of the film lag a lot, because it's a lot about both Quentin and Nancy as they try to figure out what's happening to them, like swapping back and forth from dream world to real world. In the original, it was kind of a creative way of defying expectations from the audience, where they never really knew if they were in the real world or in the dream world.
And here you can clearly tell.
Yeah, you definitely can tell.
Especially in, like, the opening with the first guy that gets killed, Dean. They add, like, that filtery look, like, to the outline of the picture. Yeah. To, like, make it look blurry and, like, kind of lit in a way, like hazy and blurry. It's like yeah, he's in the dream world. Thank you.
Yeah, it's almost like they treat their the audience like they're kind of stupid. They're not going to really know if they're in the dream world, and that's the whole point of it, is that you really don't know, so that anything can happen.
Well, that's supposed to be the fun, but when you make it like, now we're in the dream world, then like, yeah, it's that's missing the point of the fun of the film.
Yeah, and I don't really like the swapping when they go into their, quick naps. It takes away some of the tension because you're not in one area of the dream world long enough to really feel the suspense from it because they keep like jolting in and out of their sleep. So, I really wish they would have just stuck with the fact that we never really knew whether they were in the dream world or in the real world. And the other thing that really bothers me is that the boiler room, any of those scenes are very poorly done because you can clearly tell that it's some sort of backdrop or CGI. The lighting and the fog, everything about it just feels very fake and like Hollywood stage sort of thing. It doesn't really scream like this was actually shot in a really dingy boiler room or
somebody actually took the time to build a set for this.
Yeah, it just screams like fake setup, and it doesn't work as well as it should, especially
like we said earlier, it literally looks like it could just be like one of Jigsaw's layers, except instead of a green light throughout it, it's orange.
Yeah,
because it's supposed to be like hot like hellfire.
Yeah. It doesn't work as well, and I think that they could have done a much better job at actually making the dream world look better than it does. I was not impressed.
Well, that's what happens when you're like, hey, the CGI we have access to can make everything that we ever thought of come true. I think that's where that problem lies in.
Like the shot of Freddy on fire running at the camera. pretty terrible.
I thought for a second I thought you were talking about when he ran out of the building when he was a human.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when he's like sort of like a Ghost Rider.
No.
Yeah, remember the one part of it is real. The one part of it is real as he's running out and he's on fire. That's real, like that's actually somebody on fire.
And it's great.
After that, it shows his face.
Oh yeah, no,
coming at you.
That's the CGI. Yeah, that's bad. Where it's like part of the dream. The guy running out of the building. That's great because it's an actual person. It's been lit on fire. Run out.
Anything else that you want to add about Nightmare on Elm Street that we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah, Thomas Dekker as Jesse playing douchebag numero uno is a poor man's Steven Dorff.
Yeah.
He looks like he's supposed to be fucking Deacon Frost in Blade. I'm expecting him to give some vampire speech and how he's the new blood.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about Connie Britton either. Connie Britton gets a very limited role as Nancy's mother. And I would assume that this is a role that's post Friday Night Lights, but pre American Horror Story. At the conclusion in this film is a jump scare, and it's straight out of like the original where Freddy pulls Nancy's mom through the porthole in the door. However,
it doesn't work.
First of all, it doesn't really make sense because it's not really happening to Nancy. It's happening to her mom. Like it and then also her mom's not sleeping, or not that we know of, and
maybe she is, but this is the dream
apparently.
That she's in.
But the whole thing just smacks of saying like, well, we don't really know how to end this. We don't want Freddy to really just be dead. So we have to have some way of bringing him back later.
Yeah, but that's like the same thing like with how the remake of Friday the 13th ended. Like how the two survivors, and then Jason jumps through the dock. You don't need that. We accept as an audience, especially now in this well-established franchise, they can come back for another film.
They'll probably be back. Yeah.
You don't need them to, You could just go like the old school James Bond route. Like, you can even have it end on a happy note, but then like in the end credits, like, Freddy Kreuger will return in A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Freddy's back,
Right.
Or whatever. You don't need to have like a...
I mean,
we swerved you. Because if it doesn't make sense, or if it's just like out of nowhere,
yeah, which it is in this one, it's out of nowhere.
Even more so than Friday the 13th, because at least Friday the 13th is. I would say that's an even better homage to the original, because in the original, like, okay, Mrs. Voorhees is dead, and Jason comes out of the water. That, that works. That's great. That's like setting up, later on. This one, and then Friday the 13th, it makes sense because, like, okay, even all the things that they did to him, it's plausible with how Jason is in the universe. He can, hop through.
Right.
In this, Freddy was killed in the real world. So how does he get back to the dream world? How does he reincarnate himself? How's
Doesn't really get explained or anything.
It's just like, he can't die. Because he's a pissed off spirit.
He'll just always be there in the dream world, apparently. Even though we don't know that we're in the dream world or anything like that. So, not my favorite ending for sure. Definitely. I mean, I like that it's an homage, but
I would have been fine with it just ending on a happy note.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like,
just let it end.
Just like, all right.
She finally. I think many people could.
And then you could have had like the sequel be like it start off with Nancy.
Yeah.
And then Freddy killed, like, again, like, with, like, Friday the 13th Part 2, and how, like, our main, I can't remember her name, but a lead actress from the first film gets killed off in the beginning.
Yeah, Heather Langenkamp. Yeah. I mean, I think many people could just relate to Nancy finally getting to lay her head down on a pillow and fall into a deep sleep.
And then she can't sleep. That's the
nightmare.
That's the real nightmare. Now she's like,
I'm overtired. Yeah,
I really can't sleep.
Yeah, she's afraid of a coma.
I don't think that's how that works.
I have no idea.
If you go without sleep for like 3 days and you like you'll go into a coma. Possibly.
I would assume that at some point your body just shuts down and you fall asleep until you can wake up again.
Yeah, I don't think you'd go into a fucking coma though.
Yeah, I don't know if you're...
Maybe on the rare extreme...
I think your body has built-in...
mechanisms.
Yeah,
that would be like, okay,
like, I'm tired, I'm shutting down.
Just like, you're like, oh, pass out. And then like...
Right.
Like, oh, you've been out for 2 days. Why? Oh, you haven't slept for a fucking week.
Yeah, that's what I would think, but who knows? I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. Neither of these kids, but they act like, they kids there.
Shoot up epinephrine in their leg.
Yeah,
and
just, adrenaline right in, right in the thigh. What? Wow! Must be great security in that hospital. This kid just like
yeah, breaks into
a
cart.
Oh, what's in this drawer over here? Behind this nurse's desk. No one's paying attention.
Yeah. All right. So what? Out of 10 red and green sweaters, what would you give A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010?
I wouldn't even say his sweater's green in this. It's like brown.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
it's like a turdy brown.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4 out of 10 green and brown sweaters. Which I think I gave Friday a 3.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure I gave it a 3.
So you enjoyed this more than Friday?
Slightly, yeah. I find the overall plot to this less offensive.
True, yeah.
The fact that it wasn't like Nancy and her friends are on a magical weed quest. Like,
that is true.
Like Friday the 13th, all it needed is like Harold and Kumar to stumble. Like, Harold and Kumar meet Jason! That's a movie I'd watch.
That would be pretty fun, actually, I gotta say. I think that would be sort of like an Abbott and Costello for the new world, That would be pretty fun.
Tenacious D meets Freddy Kreuger. I'd watch that.
I'd watch it. I would too. Yeah. I would probably give it a 4.5, I would say. I do not like it as much as Friday the 13th.
I know you gave that a 5.
Yeah, I would say that even though, like, with Friday the 13th, I watched it again and I enjoyed it a little bit more, I would say that's not the case with The Nightmare on Elm Street. I enjoyed it about the same as when I saw it in theaters, which was not very much. So, I don't think it's very good. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. Like, if anybody was like, I like the original Nightmare, do you think I should check out the remake? I'd be like, no.
Watch Dream Warriors.
Yeah, watch Dream Warriors. It's pretty fun. Patricia Arquette's in that. Why not? I like Dream Warriors. Dream Warriors is a fun film. It's like X-Men, but for
Friday
like
the 13th.
horror. Yeah.
Not Friday, for Nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give it a 4. I think if I remember correctly, think I gave Friday a 3 because I remember. I'm pretty sure it's a 3 because I think you said, "Wow, pretty harsh." Because 3 is a pretty low rating on my scale. But I think I'd give this a 4. Because mainly I think the setup and execution is much better than Friday the 13th. Mm-hmm. Like the whole pot farm thing just pisses me off about because it's like. What a stupid generic idea. At least in this, they're sticking to the original bone, like even more so than Friday the 13th. They're sticking more to the bones of the original story.
Yeah.
Which makes for a much better plot. I will say this is still for an hour and a half film, is still slow, plotting, and doesn't go anywhere even until like the end. It's still very tedious in how it builds things.
Yeah.
And like how you said, like how we were focusing on Kris for like a good 40 minutes in this film for us to be like, she's not the main lead, why are we bothering? It's just filler.
You're right.
I think the cast in this, outside of Clancy Brown, is miserable. And I only say that because I like Clancy Brown. Even though I said earlier he doesn't do anything, because they don't give him anything to do. He's literally got like 3 minutes of screen time in this. Still like, okay, glad he's here.
Yeah.
At least he adds something,
Yeah, this is
some sophistication.
This is definitely not where Rooney Mara came into her own before she, did stuff like the girl with the dragon tattoo and things like that.
But,
definitely not.
But overall, everyone, our main cast of friends, are pretty unlikable, pretty miserable, given terrible dialogue to say, like in the most generic, like how these 2000s horror films portray teenagers, and like they just say fucking shit all the time, and like everything's just a big fucking ha ha ha, fuckity fuck, we're edgy. Look at us. It's annoying. I think Jackie Earl Haley as Freddy does the best that he can, and I don't put any of the blame on his portrayal of Freddy on him. I think it's all the script. I think it's all the direction, and he just said okay. I'm sure he probably had a certain way in certain things, way he probably wanted things portrayed, and he's probably told, no, this is how we want it done. And that's how it comes across in this. I could be totally wrong on that. Maybe that's this is how he thought it should be portrayed. And if so, then shame on him. But the way it comes across in this, it seems like it's more of a directorial, and definitely a screenplay issue too. We didn't really talk about the score in this is miserable. It's a very generic or overly used stinging, score sound throughout the entire film. Even like characters taking a walk down the street, it's like, and then we talked about earlier too. I don't think the effects in this are great at all. I think some of the kills are cool, and it's because they at least the CGI and some of that of Freddy tearing through Kris doesn't look great, but it's like, okay, that's they got to be able to do that at least with that. It doesn't look great, but it's not bad looking. But the blood gusher, that looks terrible compared to the original. Where you see is a just total CGI blood. So I'd say the effects are a very mixed bag in this.
Yeah.
But I will say it's a much easier watch than the Friday the 13th remake for me. Much easier. The characters are less annoying. You can kind of root a little bit for Nancy in this. And that's about it.
Yeah.
So
there you have it. Nightmare on Elm Street 2010.
Don't watch it.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. Don't watch it.
Watch New Nightmare.
Yeah, I would recommend that instead. If you watch it, you won't sleep again.
Hey, we got a tagline.
There you go. All right, so next week we are coming back with the last of our Remakeoween special, Remakeoween number 8. I can't believe we're already through it already. Seems like it's been pretty quick.
Just yesterday.
I know. We've got the remake of Halloween from Rob Zombie, otherwise known as The Devil's Rejects, but it's not really, but it also uses a popular franchise monster in it.
I thought it was called Garbage.
Ouch. Well, we'll see what we think next week when we view it again, because I've only seen it one time. The one time we saw it in theaters. That's it.
Me too.
Yeah. Should be fun. And then after that, we do have a special Halloween episode that will be dropping on Halloween, so check back for that. And that's...
Could it be
What?
Halloween?
I don't know.
Could it be Thanksgiving
Yeah, could be Thanksgiving.
by Eli Roth?
Nah, Thanksgiving. Yeah.
No, and the
Yeah, Thanksgiving, the short.
yeah.
Yeah. Surprise! I can't believe that Halloween is almost here, to be honest with you. So,
We'll see who can guess it.
yeah, I'm sure it's pretty easy to guess what we're going to be doing, but yeah, we've got a special Halloween episode. Other than that, please check us out on iTunes or Stitcher or any other podcasting app. Leave us a nice review and subscribe to us on there. You can check us out on Facebook at Blood and Black Rum Podcast. We're on Twitter, Blood and Black Rum. You can tweet us on there and follow us. We have an email address. It's bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Patreon and donate to us, patreon.com/bloodandblackrumpodcast. And also find us on cultsploitation.com, which is our podcast network. And you can join the podcast network as well and become part of the podcast network with us. So you could share some of the good things that we do, and we could swap episodes and do lots of fun stuff. So if you're interested in that, check us out at cultsploitation.com and send an email. Other than that, we'll see you next week for our Remakeoween episode on Halloween from Rob Zombie. And we hope that you have a good week and you enjoyed this listen. Thank you for listening.
Take care.